I am Chef Danielle for Expert Village. Now we're going to move on to the dough. If you don't want to make a fresh homemade dough, you don't have to. I prefer like a bubbly crust. You can go get them. They're pre-made at the supermarket. You're more than welcome to do that. But if you want to make your own dough, you can. What you're going to need is a packet of dry active yeast. Any brand will do. And you're going to need to dissolve this yeast, let me find my scissors, in some hot water. The water is going to need to be about 105 to 115 degrees. If you don't have a thermometer that's going to measure your temperature, that's fine. You want it to be hot, but you don't want it to be boiling because it's going to be too much. But if the water isn't hot enough, your yeast is not going to dissolve, and that's the first step of this. Is you want to dissolve your yeast in 1 cup of water. So you want to put your yeast in, pour in your warm to hot water, and let that all dissolve. In the meantime, I've pre-measured some of this. You want 3 cups of flour, which I used a dry measuring cup for. This was a liquid measuring cup because it was liquid, which was your water. There was also a tablespoon of sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt. You're going to want to just kind of mix all these ingredients together. If you want to change up your dough a little bit, depending on the type of pizza you're making, you can make a wheat dough. So instead of using 3 cups of flour, you can use 1 cup of wheat flour and 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Or you can add some honey as well if you want to the dough, and then it'll make a little honey dough. So you want to add in your yeast and water mixture once it's dissolved. And the other thing that you want to do is you're going to need a little bit more olive oil, about a tablespoon. So you're going to want to put some olive oil in there as well. And you're going to want to keep your olive oil handy because once you get all this mixed together and kneaded, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and put into a ball, you're going to want to coat your dough with some olive oil. Now I'm going to mix and knead this by hand because that's what I prefer. If you have a KitchenAid mixer, like a professional mixer, you can do this whole step with a dough hook. You put your dough hook on your mixer, and for those of you who have one know what I mean. And it's going to get to the point where you need to knead it on its own with the dough hook. But I'm going to mix it by hand. If you want to use a fork or some sort of mixing spoon, if you don't like getting your hands dirty, then go for it. But what you're going to want is you're going to want to get it to the point where it's going to be like in a ball. You want to get all that liquid mixed in. The other thing you want to keep handy is going to be your flour because you're going to need to dust. It's called dusting your surface so that the dough isn't going to stick to your counter when you're kneading out your dough. You get into a nice ball. It's going to be a little sticky, which is okay. But you want to be sure you get all those ingredients as much as you can up off the bottom of the bowl and into your dough. Kind of clean off your hands a little bit, and then you're going to want to grab some of your flour, and like I said before, we're going to dust our surface.